Hi and welcome to another update on Nexus of Onslaught. So if I look at the plan that I had for this past week, it was to complete the ranged enemy. I wanted to make him ability aware and general polishing. So in terms of polishing, I didn't do anything visual. It was more a case of structural, I suppose. Moving a lot of code around between the enemy and the base classes. Working with an AI, it pointed out some shortcomings in my code on how I can access things and where I should put it. So I just fixed that up. So the polishing was more for convenience and not visual. And then in terms of the AI, I finished the ranged enemy. So he moves within range, the range I can put up per character. He does damage with his projectiles, and he'll keep moving around very nicely. I have to say it's difficult to fight at this stage because one thing that I haven't put in yet is to block the ranged projectiles. What I will do is similar to the melee. I will have, if you block it perfectly as it reaches you, it's a perfect block, and I suppose it'll reflect it back, or otherwise you just take slightly less damage and no stagger. So he currently moves like that, and if he can't see me anymore, he relaxes a bit until he can see me again. So that's very nice. Now, one thing I did have or mentioned last week was to have this enemy move on a plane. And if I look at it, try that again. So now if we look at the grid, the green ones is what he would consider, and he's only considering the ones that are on the same plane as himself and the player, which is great. And he's also only choosing ones that are on the same side. He's of the left of the player, so he'll choose ones on the left. And if I change that over, he'll choose ones that are on the right. So this is great. It took a bit of digging to get this working and some investigation. How I ended up doing it is, if I look at the environment query, so what you basically start with is you choose what kind of points you want to generate around a target, and for me I chose a grid. And what you can do is on that grid of points you can run tests. So what it came down to is I had to create my own test, but in C++, you could probably do it. I'm not sure if you can otherwise in a blueprint class. I doubt, maybe not, because one caveat that I saw is I cannot create a blueprint class from this now. So I don't know if that's intentional or what, but this is how I ended up. And the test basically runs for each one of the points that was generated. Now if I look at it, it's a really simple test that I wrote. I just exposed a property, some kind of variance, just to make sure that, I don't want exact, I give like a 5-point tolerance. It can be 5 points off on the y coordinate, if that ever happens. I doubt it, because I've hard set everything in the game to run on y0, but just in case. And all it really does is, for each of those points, it looks at the difference between the points y and the owner, which would be the enemy running the query. And if that's within this threshold, it would consider the point. And then it just checks if the owner is left of the player, make sure the point is also on the left. And similarly, if it's on the right, make sure the point is on the right. And that was it. That gave me exactly the behavior that I wanted, and it does kind of give me hope, because I wanted to include flying enemies, but I wasn't sure about how the navigation would work. I'm still not 100% sure, but this gives me hope that I can make something custom to basically rotate or flip the grid in a vertical manner. But we'll see if that's still possible. Now, one shortcoming this enemy has is it currently just fires in the direction it's looking. Now, if I look at my map, oh god, where is it? Why can't I see anything? I don't know why I can't see anything, but the issue is going to be at the top here. I have these slanted platforms, so if a ranged enemy is on that, they'll have to aim at the player properly instead of just shooting in this direction. So yeah, that's one shortcoming that I have to fix. So this was a pretty short video. Now what I'll have to look at this week is I'd like to just fix that aiming at the player, but more importantly I want to put the Steam page up, because this is basically the last week I have, since the page needs to be in a coming soon status for 30 days before you can release. So if I still want to release at the end of June, it means this is the last week for me to get the page up. And to get the page up, I need to do the trailer, as I've said before. I think I am in a position now to do the trailer, but I'll need to add some extra enemies, just maybe 2 or 3 melee and 1 more ranged, just to give the trailer a bit more character and variance in what's happening. And then, yeah, this week I'll be concentrating mostly on getting the trailer and the Steam page up, so no actual work in terms of development. And I suppose I've been working on it for around 7 weeks now, and it can kind of all blend together and feel like it's not going anywhere. So getting the page up will be a nice solid milestone to see, okay, it's tangible, it's real, and I suppose give me some extra meaning to finish the next 4 weeks. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.